Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the Q&A video that I've been telling you guys about. I asked you guys some questions on my YouTube, my Instagram, my Twitter, and you guys sent in a lot of questions, so I'm going to be picking the best ones today to answer. I also just want to quickly mention, I just moved, so my background, I'm just working with what I got because basically I have no furniture, so this is just what it is for now. And I don't know if the audio is going to be like echoey or not because since the fact I have no furniture, it's a little bit echoey in here, so bear with me. It won't last for long, I promise. But without further ado, let's hop right into this Q&A, starting now. So one of you guys requested a makeup routine video. I will definitely be filming that. I'm flattered that you guys want to see that. When I first started YouTube, I started doing like makeup and stuff. Those videos are now like not on there anymore because I kind of was really crappy at makeup back then, but the skills have gotten a little bit better, so I think I'll make one for you guys. The next question is, can you teach us how to lucid dream? I will definitely be making a video on that. The next question is, how did you start getting into the practice? So I'm guessing that's like tarot cards and all the other stuff that I do on here, all the spirituality. Basically, when I was younger, I started like doing Reiki, not really knowing what it was. It was kind of like a natural thing that just came to me, and I would always like play with energies. I could feel energies on people, and I would always like to make that energy better, especially if I could feel someone was going through sadness or had any kind of like tension, or I could feel like just like really stagnant, not really flowing energy. Like, of course, energy doesn't ever really stop. So they're constantly moving, but sometimes they move a little bit slower just because they're really blocked. It's kind of like having a clogged artery or something. You know, if it's like completely clogged, you're not really doing too well. So sometimes they can be just like kind of clogged and you need to unclog them. So that's kind of like how they work and how I picture it in my head. And I would always kind of like do that for my mom, and I'd always feel like, oh, like, let's play with your energy and make it a little bit better. And so I'd always give her like what we called a no hands massage. And then when I was older, she finally told me what it was. She always had like tarot cards and all these other things and books on astrology, books on like any type of spiritual stuff. She really got into reading like the Seth series, if you guys know what that is, by Jane Roberts. Those books are amazing. And so growing up just around that, I'd always be super curious what it was. And so as I got older, I was like, Mom, can you like do a tarot reading on me, or can you teach me how to do this? And then eventually we took classes together, and I went into homeschool for 6 months in the 12th grade in order to just like learn tarot with my mom. And we just like did classes and classes and classes on it. And then when we weren't doing classes, we were just practicing it and doing it on each other all the time. And that's basically how I got into the practice. And then we also took mediumship courses, a bunch of different things, and did a lot on our own. Like we've probably did maybe 15% classes, and then the rest was just like us just doing it like pretty much every day. So that's how I got into the practice. Is tarot card reading 100% accurate? So this question's a really interesting question. It really is super, super accurate. I would say nothing is 100%, especially because the different readers that you go to, and the fact that in tarot or astrology, there's like multiple meanings and multiple layers into everything. So it depends what kind of reader you have and their own personal experience, because anyone can only speak on their own personal experience. Based on the cards, they'll see different combinations and say, okay, this is what I'm seeing in here. And you know, it'll probably resonate with you a bit. There might be a couple things that they say that don't really resonate with you, but that's just because there's so many layers in tarot cards. There's so many layers in astrology. So I would say it's like, honestly, super, super accurate. But there might be a couple times when you hear something that you're like, that's like kind of, sort of, or it's just because you don't see it at the moment. But it's usually really, really accurate. And then there's also something called free will. So if you get like some kind of tarot reading or something, you can also change outcomes, you know. Usually, especially if it's like the major arcana cards, it's usually like, you know, life lessons that you can't really avoid. If it's like minor arcana stuff, I mean, you can really change anything and everything, in my opinion. If you don't like something that's coming for you, I believe you can totally change it. But there's some things that your soul wants you to experience. So either way, you're going to experience it either in that lesson or another lesson or a different situation or whatever. So usually it's 100%, not really 100% accurate, but really, 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 really accurate. Like, but again, it depends what kind of reader you go to. You could go to a reader who really just is not in the state of like channeling messages from spirit, because I don't feel like it really comes from the reader. It's just channeled through the reader from the higher sources and the higher powers and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, it's a really tough question to kind of explain, but I would say it's so, so accurate. But again, it depends who you get the reading from, because some readers, you know, they don't really put their best foot forward, or they just are in a negative space, and then so they're seeing a lot of negative stuff, and maybe you're not going through anything negative. And so it kind of depends where the reader's at and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes even like I've had readings where I just either I'm not in a good space or my client is just not open to receiving the message, and spirit will just be like, no, this message is not supposed to be given out right now. There's not a good space here. And then so whatever cards come out, they really just don't make sense. And for some reason, I just can't see anything. And, you know, the client's not really receiving it properly. So there's occasionally times where that happens. And in that time, you want to wait like maybe a week or two, a couple months, and then retry again at that point. And sometimes you can get a way more accurate reading. So it depends on a lot of different things, to be honest with you. But I'd say most of the time things are like insanely accurate, really, really good. So that's my answer on that. It's a long answer, I'm sorry. How did I learn to read tarot? And so I kind of answered that in my like other question about, you know, how I got started into it. So I learned it mostly from my mom, and then we took classes on it as well. And then a lot of just my own research as well, because tarot again has so many layers. And then you can relate it to numerology, then you can relate it to astrology, and then you can relate it to all these different things. There's literally so many layers, and I don't know everything yet. There's still some things that I find out that I'm like, whoa, I didn't even realize that. Like that card connects to that planet, and that's rules this sign, and then it adds just more depth and more layers all the time. So I'd say it's like kind of like an endless language to learn. It's kind of crazy. It's pretty cool though. Please do a video related to zodiac signs. I will definitely do that. I promise. You guys, this is probably one of my most requested videos other than a makeup routine and stuff like that, is the zodiac signs one. I will definitely be doing that for you guys. So this question is, how did you find out you were a psychic? What were your parents' thoughts if you told them? And how are your videos so accurate? Well, I know you're psychic, but like how? So I answered the psychic one sort of, but I just kind of found out because I would just naturally do a lot of like Reiki and feeling energies, and one day my mom told me what it was because she was into it, and so she knew. But then what were my parents' thoughts? So my mom obviously was like, she already knew that I was really psychic. She knew it from the beginning, and so I never really had to tell her because it kind of was just like she had to tell me. She was the one that was like, Leanna, by the way, because my name's Leanna if you guys don't know. I go by the Gem Goddess, but that's my real name. And then she's like, just so you know, you're really psychic. And then I would see ghosts, I would see spirits and all that kind of stuff, and I would tell her about my experiences. She also saw them. So it was kind of cool. It was really open. My dad passed away when I was 14, but he kind of didn't really believe in that sort of stuff, and he just thought it was kind of mumbo jumbo. So I didn't really talk to him much about it. My mom would talk to him about it once in a while, and he got to a point where he was curious and always asked my mom some questions once in a while. But I mean, he never really took it too seriously. But yeah, he was okay with it. He didn't like dislike it or something, or think it was weird or anything like that. Like he was cool with it. It just wasn't his thing. But he was super into the planets, I will say. Like, not really astrology, but the more scientific side of, like, he had books on the planets all the time. He had a telescope. It was crazy. So he was kind of into the more sciencey side of it. So that kind of made me balance out my sciencey plus spiritual side of it and kind of connect them both, which is really cool. Do you believe in soulmates and that everyone has one? I believe that we all have like multiple soulmates, multiple twin flames. There's multiple of everything because we're all part of a collective consciousness. And so we're all connected on many, many, many different levels, like all of us. Pretty much anyone and everyone can be your soulmate, but you're gonna connect more to certain people based on your current frequency, your current vibration. And so when you change that vibration, your soulmates and your twin flames will actually change. And so sometimes you'll have a soulmate or a twin flame, and then randomly, like 2 years later, you're just like, wait, I'm not resonating with you anymore. Why? And it's because that karma's done. You're moving on to a different vibration. You're moving on to a different frequency, and therefore you're going to connect to different people again. Yes, you can stay with somebody your whole life, but it's that you two are growing at the same speed, in the same way, in the same direction. You know, because if you're growing in opposite directions, that's why people all of a sudden don't resonate with each other anymore, and they're just like, wait a minute, what? Like, I swear up and down, you were my soulmate or you were my twin flame, and for some reason it's gone. But that's why, is because all of us are going through like an evolution process, and we're going to change constantly. And so sure, you can find somebody that you can be with for the rest of your life, and that's, you know, that's what I want, you know, to have somebody that, you know, grows with me and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to have to constantly change like lovers or something. I feel like that would be kind of depressing. But if that's what you personally vibe with, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that too, just so you know. Like if you want to have multiple partners, you want to have multiple people, that's totally you. I'm a sun in the 7th house with the moon in the 7th house. I mean, I kind of just want my one and only, but yeah, that's why soulmates and twin flames, you know, you can have multiple of them. That's why, is because vibrations change. We're literally all connected. You can connect with anyone. It just depends what your vibrational frequency is at and who it connects to at that time. So that's the answer to that. How did you start reading tarot cards, and how can someone begin if they want to start reading tarot cards? Also, where do you buy them? So I kind of answered the first part of that question. And then, so how does someone begin? Honestly, you can Google a lot of things. There's so many like YouTube videos on it. I might be making a YouTube video on it at one point. But so there's a lot of different things you can watch to start. Also, if you want to just use your intuition, the cards, the Rider-Waite tarot cards, they have like really good pictures on the front of the cards that really kind of describe what the card's about. So if you want to just use your intuition based on what you see in the card, you can kind of do readings based on that. And then as you get more advanced, you can find other people's you know, descriptions, and maybe you want to change up yours a little bit because you see a little bit extra in the tarot. It's like everyone and every tarot card reader that I know kind of has their own little twist to the cards, which adds like more depth, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like, it's like not that tarot reader's wrong for thinking like a different way. It's actually all correct because tarot cards have literally so many layers and all of it is correct. And then it just depends who you're reading for at the moment and what you're feeling from the card, and especially what other cards it's beside, then you'll kind of like know the direction of what layer that tarot card is talking about. So if that makes sense. So it's like just constantly, you'll be constantly advancing your skills always, but just to start, I mean, the pictures in the Rider-Waite tarot deck, which is like the original tarot deck basically, well, actually one of the originals. So that's a really good place to start. And then also, where do you buy them? I started buying mine at like bookstores, because they carry them at bookstores if you go to like the spiritual, like new age section, and just find one that you like, pick it out, or you can go to any spiritual shop, they have them too, or you can order them on Amazon. For me, I've only ever gotten them at spiritual shops, mostly bookstores, and then mostly Amazon as well, and that's where you can get them, and also the oracle cards too. Do you ever feel overwhelmed sometimes with all the energy and just what you do? Yeah, especially when I was younger, when it was kind of new to me, especially when I started like seeing spirits and stuff like that, it got really overwhelming to the point where I couldn't sleep at night and I had to have the light on always, because I'd always see spirits in the dark, mostly. And then I'd also see them in the light as well, but it was just less often because I was more distracted by my surroundings and the objects that were in my room. And so my third eye wouldn't be as like vulnerable to seeing a bunch of spirits and that. So there was a time when I just had a lot of like just sleepless nights, especially if I didn't have a light. Like, I would just be so scared. It would be like the worst thing that anyone could do for me, is like if the electricity went out or something, I'd be like, I have to have somebody else like in the room with me in order for me to not be scared, because I was, you know, really scared about it at first because I didn't know a lot about spirits at the time, and I mean, it was a little bit scary. So especially when you see some of them that, you know, don't show up in like the most pleasant way. So that's that. So it's kind of overwhelming, and I used to have a lot of social anxiety because being an empath, so many people say that they're empaths now, so I almost don't even want to use that word. It's like, it's all over the place now, but you know, I could feel people's emotions a lot, and I could feel kind of what they were thinking based on the emotions that were like just pouring out of them. And so I had a lot of social anxiety at one point because of just kind of hearing what people would think of me and kind of their judgments on me, whether they were good or bad. Like, it was kind of just like too much, or I'd feel them, how they would think about other people or what they were going through. And it was just a lot. And so I hated being around people. I got so uncomfortable. My face would turn like red as a tomato, and it was just really awful, to the point where I just wanted to skip school, not even go to school. And, you know, it was just bad. That was bad social anxiety. But now I'm over that because I know better how to control that. And honestly, I'm at the point in my life where I don't really care about people's thoughts anymore. Most of the time, I'd like to say that it was 100% that I don't care, but you know, there's still times when I do care, especially if I have to make a good impression when I'm meeting like someone new or something like that I really want to, you know, come across in a good way. Sometimes I still get social anxiety, but for the most part, I really just I'd say 90% of the time I don't really care what people think anymore, so it kind of helps the social anxiety thing, and I'd say I don't really have it anymore, but it was a tough time to go through that. Do you think knowing your fate is good? I don't believe anyone has like specific fates. I believe we all are in control of our fate. Of course, there's certain things that are going to work better for us and not work as good for us based on, for example, astrology. So your astrology, when you were born, your natal chart, where your planets were, what houses they were in, all that kind of stuff, develops you as a person, what your energetic frequency, your inner core frequency is. Of course, we can go through life and change certain things as we learn different things and play out our lives, you know, and go through different experiences that develop us as a person. So as you're going through that, it's like, it's kind of like a little bit fated in a sense, but you get to choose how you experience certain things. If you see an obstacle in front of you, like a huge boulder on the road, are you just gonna drive right into it, or are you gonna steer around it? I mean, that's everyone. People that believe in fate don't realize that they can totally grab the steering wheel and steer around it. They think they have to go through the crash and have to go through the repair job of the car in order to continue forward, or they have to stop their car and like somehow break down this boulder in order to get past it. But then there's other people, if you realize certain things are coming and you see something coming, you can better control it. So it's basically your reaction to situations creates your reality. So if your reaction is going to be like, oh, I have no control over this, blah, 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 it's so shitty, you're going to crash into the boulder. Then if you realize that you have control over your reaction and your emotions, and you say, you know what, I don't have to let this affect me, blah, 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 you're energetically steering yourself away from this obstacle. So it's like you're still going to see the obstacle, it's still going to show up in your life, but you can steer around it, which is basically having the good reaction, or you can have a bad negative reaction and crash into the boulder and have a really crappy time. But it's all based on your reaction to certain situations that come up for you. And that's basically what learning the lesson is, because if you don't learn the lesson and you crash your car into it, you repair it, but then you don't realize that you need to somehow get rid of this boulder or steer around it, you're gonna keep running into the same lesson over and over again. And that's when people have those like repeating, like, oh, I keep ending up in these horrible relationships, or oh, I keep ending up in these horrible jobs, or I keep ending up in this house with this really shitty neighbor or something. You're gonna notice that you keep repeating the same situations because you're not learning to react differently and steer around it and then keep moving forward away from that situation. So I hope that makes sense. What's one of the scariest encounters that you have had with a spirit? Okay, so if you don't like scary stories, skip ahead like a minute from now. But I experimented with Ouija boards back when I was a kid, but I didn't really know the proper way to use them, and so I wasn't really using them correctly, and I wasn't really protecting myself. And then so no, I don't believe in like inherently super bad like demons or devils or anything like that. I feel like that is, the same as like walking down the street. You're not going to run into somebody who's like pure evil. It's like everyone is that way for a reason based on their certain life experiences that they went through. Nobody's inherently born evil or whatever. It's like literally the spirits that are in the spirit world, you're going to run into good ones, bad ones. But the bad ones aren't bad because they're programmed that way. It's just based on their experiences and what they've gone through and who they are because of certain experiences that they've had. And so it's just like walking down the street. Maybe you're gonna get mugged. Maybe you're gonna meet your new soulmate. That's a weird example, I'm sorry. But spirits are the same way. And so sometimes, you can run into somebody who's, not had the best experiences. And so I ran into this one, his name was Evan. And I'm sorry for anyone named Evan there. If you know somebody named Evan, it's not everyone named Evan's gonna be like this, but there was this spirit, his name was Evan. And he kind of hung himself from a noose on my ceiling one night, and I just saw him and I was like, this is really creepy. And that's when I stopped being able to sleep without the light on, basically, and I was really scared that night. Anyway, so I kept seeing him around, then I kept sleeping with the light on, and then one morning I was having this dream about him, and I was just like, you go away, I don't want you here. And he's like, no, I don't want to go away. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm not down. And I was like, if I turn my lights on, you're gone. So I'm just going to deal with you like that. He goes, but what if there were no lights? And then my mom was banging on my door, woke me up, and she's like, you're going to be late for school if you don't wake up now because the power went out. Your alarm clock's not going to go off this morning. And I was just like, what the? That was basically my reaction. So that was horrible. But I eventually made him go away. I mean, he wasn't like super permanent or anything like that. I eventually got him to go away. And basically what I learned in order to make bad spirits go away is you send them away with love. Because the more negativity you put towards them, just like if there's like a bully in school or something like that who's really bothering a kid and then the teacher punishes them for it, sure, yeah, you need to punish the bully, but they're probably already acting like that because they don't have either a good home life or they've gone through certain experiences where they just have anger that they need to take out. So if you treat it with more anger, you're just gonna fill them with more anger. Like it's a big issue. So it's like you need to show them love, compassion, kindness. Sorry guys, my camera cut out, so we're back now. So the only reason why they're being negative is because they are being given so much negativity. So if you send them away with love and you thank them for their presence, just be like, I thank you for being here, but I don't need this at this time. You know, you are so much more powerful than you think. So really nothing can come in your energetic field unless you allow it, unless you have a door open for that. So if you just say, hey, I don't want this at this time. I'm busy with a lot. Thank you for being here. I send you away with love and happiness, and I hope you be filled with love. So if you send them away like that and you just say, you know what, I really don't have time. I'm sorry, like they have never come back for me as long as you just keep that strong mindset and that you're confident and you know that you're in control of that. You're in control of what doors you open to who. So just so you know that. You don't have to open your front door if you look out and there's somebody you don't want to open the door to, you know, unless you see somebody that you do want to open the door to and you're just like, oh, hey, yeah, you can come in. So it's just so you know, it's like having a front door. You don't have to open it to everybody. So just know that. This next question is, how did you come to confidently show your talents in front of the entire world? I mean, in my country, France, all the spiritual things are very taboo, and I know for sure that I couldn't talk about it as openly as you are doing here. It took me a long time, especially because like I was raised more to keep my spirituality a little bit more on the hush hush. So I wasn't used to doing it at all, but just one day I was just like, you know what? I want to do this. This is what really fulfills me on like every core of my being. And yeah, just haven't looked back since. And I was just like, you know what? I don't care about people's judgments anymore. It's going to be what it is. And I just did it. And instead of getting a lot of hate, you know, I got mostly love for it. So it turned out okay. So I hope you guys have the same experience if you ever choose to do the same thing. Also, another question, is there a limit to the law of attraction? Is there something that is too big to attract, or can you really manifest everything into your life? There's no limit. There's only the limits that you put on yourself. If you feel like something's too big to manifest, it will be too big to manifest. If you feel like you have any option in the world, you will have any option in the world. Everyone is going to have a different experience with manifesting those, since everyone has a different core vibration. And you can find that core vibration again by looking at somebody's astrology and where their planets are, what time they were born, and where everything is, and what signs everything is in. You can find their core vibration and where their certain issues are in their head, where their certain issues are and blockages are, and their karmic lessons. And then you can find out what's really causing certain blockages and work through that with yourself, or you know, if you find somebody who does stuff like that, which I do, by the way. So email me if you have any more questions about it. My email's in the description box. But so yeah, basically you look at what's kind of blocking that person, or you look at what's blocking yourself, and you can kind of work through those things and then manifest really big things. So that's the answer to that. There's literally no limit at all. Just the limits that you put on yourself. Everyone is talking about psychic powers and snaz, but I just want to know your cat's names. I have a cat named Pixie. I don't know where she is right now. Pixie! Bibi! Oh wait, she's sleeping over there. She's sleeping at the moment. Her name's Pixie. She reminded me of a pixie. She's gray sparkled with some like gold kind of dust, some dustings on her fur. And so I called her Pixie because she reminds me of just like a little pixie dust. And she acts like a little pixie. Like she's a tiny little cat. She was kind of like the runt of the litter. So she's really small and she's so cute and she just wants to cuddle all day and all night. She's really needy, but I love that. I love it. Okay, this is Pixie. She's super cute. Say hi, Pixie. Say hi. Say hi to the camera. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. She's super squishy and cute and cuddly and just, she's my whole life. She's my whole I think she's like my soulmate. We're gonna be soulmates forever because our vibrations totally match. And we cuddle every night, really close. She's like, I don't think I've ever been closer to an animal before. You know, she's like just everything. And she lets me like pick her up in any way, hold her in any way. She doesn't ever get scared. Like, she's like the super cuddliest, most chill cat I've ever encountered in my whole life. Like, she's so unique and just like super chill and super cute. Like, I could pick her up in any position. She won't even have to change positions. She's just like, you know, any way you hold me, I'm fine. I just love being held by my mom. So cute. Oh, until now. Until I just said that. She's like, no, I'm in control. I can make my own decisions. How did I come up with my name? So, the Gem Goddess. I came up with it because I work with gems and crystals, plus I'm a Gemini. And I really, really love like Greek mythology and ancient Egyptian mythology and all these different like mythologies. I'm obsessed. So any sort of gods or goddesses, I read all about them. They correlate to the planets a lot. And it's just, it's something that I'm so interested in. And I just love it so much. And so I wanted to be the Gem Goddess because it kind of, you know, is my whole essence, I guess you could say. So that's how I came up with it. What are some of my hobbies? I love the ocean, so I love swimming in the ocean. I like walking on the beach. Sounds like I'm making a dating video right now, or like a dating profile video. Oh my goodness. But I also, I really love making music. I was also like a singer for a little while, and so I do that. I have a SoundCloud link somewhere in the description. If you guys want to go check it out, I mean, they're all pretty old, so I'm going to be making some new stuff pretty soon, so I do that for fun. I love researching anything spiritual though, so honestly, I'd say my biggest part is like, you know, researching more about crystals, because there's literally millions of types of crystals in the world, and I don't even know all of them yet. There's still new ones that I learn, which is crazy. Another thing that I do for fun is working with manifestation and kind of working with like the magic of the universe and learning alchemy. I'm super into alchemy, so if you guys want to know like what I refer to myself as, I refer to myself as an alchemist. I look into it a lot. And a lot of people think alchemists was the practice of learning how to turn iron into gold. It's not actually that. Iron actually is associated with the root chakra, and gold is associated with your crown chakra. And so basically it's how to it's the path to enlightenment. If you search up like Hermetic alchemy. So it's basically the study of how to turn like your base chakra, your first root chakra, and rise the kundalini into the top chakra, the crown chakra. So that's basically what Hermetic alchemy actually is. This is the study of pure enlightenment. That's what I'm all about. And so it deals a lot with like working with the magic and the elements of the universe. What's my zodiac sign? So I am a Gemini sun, I am a Gemini moon, and I'm a Sagittarius rising. So if you guys know astrology, you know what that means. How can anybody find their life purpose? Did you know from a young age which path you would follow in your life? No, I did not know at all. In fact, I went off into so many different directions, but then again, I'm a double Gemini, Sag rising. So I mean, my energy is basically kind of gets bored with doing one thing. The good thing about spirituality is there's so many different directions of it. There's like crystals, astrology, tarot, there's like so many different things. And so that one really satisfies me. Whereas other jobs, they're kind of just like, you know, they're one direction, maybe a few different directions, but doesn't really offer like a lot of like, you know, fulfillment for me, because there's not as many options in it. I find like more options are in spirituality, plus I'm just really drawn to it. But how you find your life purpose, for me, like it took me a while. So I'd say based on astrology, you can find it really well through astrology, because once I started looking at my astrology chart, I realized how much stuff I have in Scorpio and the 8th house, and in the 12th house as well. And so my North Node is in the 12th house in Scorpio, and that alone talks so much about spirituality and being like a spiritual person. All the occult stuff is kind of like ruled by the 12th house and by Scorpio. So I mean, my North Node, which deals with what your life purpose is literally in Scorpio in the 12th house. And when I saw that, I was kind of like, oh, that makes sense why I'm so attracted to spirituality. But at the time I was doing beauty videos on YouTube and doing music and stuff, and for some reason it wasn't fulfilling me fully. Like, I enjoy it, but it didn't like reach that core in me where I felt like, oh, I could do this every day. I love it so much. Like, I do my own makeup every day, but do I really want to be a makeup artist doing makeup for other people every day? No, I've tried that. It's so unfulfilling for me, even though it fulfills some people. So not to say that, you know, it's not a good job. I think it's an amazing job. I think the creativity is insane. But for some reason, it just didn't like vibrate to my core. It was kind of just like okay, you know. But this is just like, oh, I could surround myself in it like all the time. And then when I saw that in my astrology, I was just like, oh, that makes so much sense. Whoa, it's crazy. So if you guys want to know your life purpose, I'd suggest learning astrology a lot, or just setting the intention in the universe that you want to find out what your life purpose is, and you will be guided in the right direction, I promise. Do you have any tattoos? If you do, please show them and explain what they mean. So I have 2 tattoos technically. Sorry, this is the middle finger. I'm so sorry guys, but that's where the tattoo is. I have a tattoo right here, and I have a tattoo right here, and they're basically 3 dots on each of these fingers. And when I first got them, I'll be totally real with you guys, I just got them because I thought they were nice and I didn't have a meaning for them. And then one day I was kind of like really looking at them, and I was like, I just feel like these do for some reason have a meaning for me, and I can't figure out what it is, but I knew that they did have some sort of meaning. And then I was like, you know what, they kind of look like ellipses, like, you know, like the ... that you put after a sentence if there's like more information, if you're just kind of like leading on to something more. So I was like, oh, that totally correlates with that. And so for me, one of my biggest like things that I like to preach in my day-to-day life is that things are way deeper than what you see on the surface. Like things go so much deeper than what you really think. And if you think you know everything, it goes even deeper beyond that. And so it's kind of like the never-ending like knowledge for me. It's kind of like the never-ending story. Don't ever judge something based on what it is at the surface. Don't ever judge something even if you know so much about it, because there's so much more in every little thing. There's always more to discover. It's like crazy. Basically, the universe is infinite, and so it's kind of like, for me, like the infinite, like things are just infinite without being the infinity sign. So that's what that means to me. Definitely want to get more tattoos, but that's what I got for now. What did I study in college? I studied audio engineering in college. I actually wasn't going to go to college because I had already known like all the ins and outs of audio engineering. I was like self-taught in it basically. And but then I wanted my degree in it because occasionally when I would do some like audio engineering jobs, people would be like, oh, what school did you go to, or blah 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 blah, and I'd just be like, I didn't go. And so I mean, eventually I got to the point where I thought it was kind of a little bit embarrassing, and so I ended up just getting my degree in it anyway, just to have the degree. And so it was crazy. I basically got 100% in all my classes. It was like so easy. I had like 11 classes every semester, and it was just really easy breezy. I don't know, it was super easy. So that's what I took in college, and so I have my degree in that. This video is gonna be so long, there's so many questions. I wish I could answer all of these, they're so good. What do you do when you see someone's cards / future and it's really bad? What do you tell them and how does it make you feel? So I've honestly never had something that was like super crazy bad, because I always do prayers before my readings that I want them to be of 100% pure white light, that my client needs to know at this time, anything that spirit thinks the client would need to know for their highest good. And so when I do a prayer and I say all those things, like I don't feel like anything super negative would come up anyway. And so I've never had that really happen. Of course, there's certain things that, you know, it's like you're gonna be going through a stressful time, kind of dealing with this, you might be dealing with blah, 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 blah. And so you let them know, but it's only for their highest good. So I've never had a problem telling a client something, because since the prayer is all about whatever is the highest good for the client, anything that comes up is literally in good, you know, energy. So honestly, I've never really had to deal with something super, super bad, so that's good. So I always suggest doing prayers before any reading that you do, or any divination tool that you use, or anything like spiritual that you do for manifesting. Prayer is really important because it kind of sets the intention of how you want that certain process to go. So that's that. Can you do a room tour? I just moved into a new place, so once I get it all decorated and stuff, I'll definitely do a tour of it. So there's a lot more questions on there, but I don't want this video to be like super, super crazy long. So we're gonna end it there. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a super big thumbs up for me to let me know that. Hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a video, because then you won't miss a video at all. You'll see them all, which is awesome. So why not do it? It's free. Also, if you guys want to get a tarot reading from me, you can either email me at contact@thegemgoddess.com, or you can go to my website. You can also book readings with me through my website, which is just thegemgoddess.com. I also sell crystals and bracelets and all that kind of stuff, so definitely check it out if you guys are interested in that. And if you guys want to follow me on social media, I know a lot of you guys have been asking what it is. It's down in the description box, but I'll also put it up here on the screen right now that you guys can just see what it is and head over to that and maybe click on it. I don't know how to do that yet, but maybe we'll figure it out, so maybe it'll be clickable, I don't know. But anyway, that's everything. There's a lot of noise in the background with motorcycles and stuff. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the camera or not, but it's a little crazy. And thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back to filming a lot of videos really soon. It was just really tough this week with moving and everything like that. So love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.